I've heard the very good presentations from Dr. Matthews and Dr. Lim, and they're very, very good. I'm afraid that I will just offer a very rudimentary commentary, or a very, very basic commentary response. I think in answer to the question, does race matters? I think clearly all the speakers show that race clearly matters. And I think it is evident from the presentations that race is expressed in many different ways. And it is, of course, very, very important to us. Our education, our heritage, culture, habits are in some parts influenced or determined by race. It is a question of nurture and nurture. And I'm not entirely sure whether you can actually separate the two in the sense that, are you born to like a particular food? Are you predisposed to behave in a particular way? I don't want to get into the debate, but at least the end result is that I think it's quite clear that we are unique, we are different, and our differences in how we think, how we act, is evident in our social interactions, in who we mix around with, the food we eat, and I think this is what makes us very, very unique as well. If all of us are the same, alike, it is not as interesting a place. But of course, race would become a greater concern if it is expressed in the manner in which we vote, in the manner in which we employ, in the manner in which we conduct our business activities, such as rental, such as who we sell to, who we cater to. So this is where I think we have to learn to live with with racism, or with race, in a much better way. Living with race differences is not new to Singapore. We have been doing it for the last 50 years and even more, in fact. But of course, what is new is with this recent social media. Social media changes culture in a very, very big way, or changes the way we talk, we work, we organize ourselves in a very big way. And I think this has exerted some pressures in our society, because we look at how other countries deal with their race issues, and sometimes we import those call-out culture, cancel culture, even movements like Black Lives Matters, Me Too movements with regards to sexual, or rather the issues on sexual violence towards women. So a lot of these things, I think we cannot freely bring in or take in what we see from other places and take that as gospel truths. I think Singapore has developed in a very unique way, and we have adapted, we have accommodated. Each races have done its part. If you look at the Chinese, for instance, 7th month, when I was growing up, when I was very young, during the 7th month, I would come back from school, and my mom would have wet towels, and wet towels. I literally mean wet towels, not the wet towels of today, where it's in very nice packets. She would actually soak the towels and she would put it at the door, so that the offerings, the paper offerings, do not go into your house. Because in the old days, people can actually freely burn their paper offerings and their food offerings, and it's all over. But government has taken action. We have required every person who wanted to make an offering to burn it in a bin. And I think the situation today is very, very different from what it was when I was growing up. So there's an example of how the Chinese community has adapted and has changed its religious practices. And our Singapore Malays have also done the same. Singapore Muslims, Singapore Indians have also done the same. I was very taken by Dr. Matthew's suggestions on the importance of developing cultural competence. I think Dr. Lim also mentioned that point. I think these are very important, developing that cultural competence, that awareness, and of course calling out with grace, compassion, and advocate. I think it's important to do that, because we can always do better. There are things that I think we can change, we can learn, certainly learn from other countries and other practices, and even ourselves. I think by our own standards, we can definitely do better. But when we want to approach this change, when we want to advocate, I think we ought to do that with tact, humility, civility, and approach it not like a bull in a china room. I think a lot of these things are very delicate and very sensitive, and it is like playing Jenga. You got to be very careful which block you remove, because that block could actually lead everything to fall apart. And of course, race matters, but not everything is about race. So don't link everything to race and take offense and get triggered and start calling out like some, it is important to have that sense of proportion, that sense of perspective, that sense of, understanding. And I think, and of course, a healthy dose of common sense works. But we also know that common sense is not that common. So on that note, I've been told that my time is up. And so I would very much like to hear from you and look forward to hearing your queries, questions, comments, reactions. Thank you very much.